and institutions alike to build a Ghana where disputes are resolved through dialogue and due process, and where peace and stability are cherished above all else. Mr. Speaker, Ghana stands at a crossroad. The path we choose will determine the legacy we leave for future generations. Let us choose the path of peace, unity, and respect for the rule of law. I am very grateful.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we have two statements and the contents are almost the same. So, yes, let me begin with Honorable former Deputy Minister for Defense.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by my two colleagues, the Honorable MP for Bantima and Bosome Ofreho. Mr. Speaker, Ghana indeed
I don't think it's Bosome Ofreho, it's Odotobri.
Odotobri, sorry, Odotobri. Mr. Speaker, Ghana indeed is a beacon of democracy. We have gone through elections many times, and Ghana has had changes in its leadership many times. Ghana is a country of laws, and we are governed indeed by laws. We in this House are representatives of the people out there. And so, Mr. Speaker, it is important that when issues of vandalism, issues of arson, issues of unlawful attack on government facilities and individuals begin to rear its ugly head, it's important that members in this House take interest and try as much as possible to nip all these activities in the bud. The Honorable Member for Bantima made a lot of, or said, or gave to this House a lot of institutions which have come under attack. The sad thing, Mr. Speaker, is not just about government institutions alone, but even individuals being attacked. Mr. Speaker, I have lived it as a member of parliament for the good people of Achumakwa-Angoma. Achumakwa-Angoma, which used to be a very peaceful constituency, saw a very nasty incident not too long ago, where we had the chairman of the NDC and the youth organizer attacking the residence of the coordinating director of the Achumakwa-Angoma Municipal Assembly. Their claim was that certain items were hidden in the residence of the coordinating director and that the coordinating director was going to sell them. An allegation which was false. That did not end there, Mr. Speaker. They moved to my house. What were they looking for? Fertilizer, which was non-existent. Mr. Speaker, what even saddened my heart the more was the involvement and the action of the district commander of police. Very sad. He sat on the fence, never cared. Even when I called him, he did not show interest in the matter at all. People from the side of the MPP had wanted to mobilize to, as it were, face my brothers and sisters from the other side. Mr. Speaker, this obviously would have not ended very well. And a constituency that is known to be peaceful would have been in the news for the bad reasons. Mr. Speaker, it is so unfortunate that people will resort to attacking businesses, all in the name of we are hungry, we want food. It is so unfortunate. His Excellency the President, in his inaugural speech, says something which for me was very important, that Ghana is ready for business. Mr. Speaker, we cannot attack the businesses we already have and then expect to attract new ones to come in. It doesn't work like that. And so what happened in Obuasi, for me, is something that we should be worried about as a country. Our government is in power, and so we can do whatever we want. This is not the Ghana our forefathers left us. This is not the Ghana we seek to build. This is not the Ghana that all of us can be proud of. Mr. Speaker, my fear is that if we do not act and act decisively, a time will come when the youth out there will march to this august chamber, all because they are hungry. I believe there are members in this house who are equally hungry. We cannot hide under hunger and involve or commit illegalities. That is not Ghana. And so I believe it is important that we take interest in the statement made by our two colleagues. Work to ensure that we nip this in the bud. His Excellency the President has issued an instruction that investigations be done. Mr. Speaker, it is about time that we name and shame. It is about time that we expose all those behind these activities. And so, Mr. Speaker, I will humbly call on His Excellency the President to rather institute a commission of inquiry, a commission whose proceedings will be aired live on air. If we are able to do that, those who are behind all these things will be exposed. My fear again, Mr. Speaker, is that suddenly the Ghanaian has become so courageous, so bold, that even our security agencies, who we go to and seek their support to protect us day and night, we suddenly have become so courageous and we attack them without even looking back. We've seen people trying to take guns from soldiers. Mr. Speaker, this is unacceptable. Growing up, I never knew that a civilian could be so courageous to want to take a gun from a soldier. This is really sad. If we treat soldiers like that, how do we expect them to protect us when we need them? I believe that a commission of inquiry, Mr. Speaker, will bring the truth to the fore. And I believe and I have confidence in the professionalism of the Ghanaian soldier. The soldier will not go out there to just be a gun freak and, as it were, shoot people indiscriminately. No. What happened in Obuasi is unacceptable, and Mr. Speaker, I believe that we must have a commission of inquiry to establish the truth therein. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I have personally enjoyed his delivery by the time, so I will urge you to be snappy so that we can make time for other things. We've already spent 2 hours on statement, but like I quoted earlier on, if you go to our standing orders 94, we are supposed to use just 1 hour for statements. So I'm extending it, but please be snappy when you get the chance to speak. So let me begin from my brother. Since you are a first timer, you mention your name and your constituency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My name is Thomas Wolanyo Chepo, Hohwe constituency. I would like to also associate myself with the statement made by the MP, Honorable MP for Bantama, and then Odotobri. Mr. Speaker, myself, I'm a victim of political violence and vandalism. In 2020, I was a regional youth organizer for the Bono region. Before then, the entire Buranhafo. We saw a lot of violence, vandalism of public properties, and a lot. In Techiman, we go to Doma West. I believe we have the Doma West MP here. That was where I was slapped. You go to Ayawaso, the by-election. All this happened in the previous administration. So I would have wished this statement came earlier than this. I know if it had been like that, we wouldn't have been witnessing what we are witnessing in the country today. There was an invasion of a court in Kumasi because of the actions and the comments of some political players. It encouraged a lot of people, a lot of youth, to do more than others did. I believe if we, the political players, take action, stand on our ground, punish one or two people, others will be scared to do same or attempt to do similar when the opportunity comes on their table. The Kumasi invasion, the Kumasi court invasion, for instance, when you hear comments from some of the regional chairmen, it is not worth hearing, Mr. Speaker. The fines given to them, a judge who was molested, who was beaten, dragged out of the courtroom, the fines that were given to these people, 1,500 to go and pay. There and then, the regional chairman paid the fines. That encouraged others. Yes, we also have the tape, Mr. Speaker. All these things happen without comment from the former majority, without comment from the presidency. Mr. Speaker, 4 people died in Techiman. Up to date, our former president, who was then the president, no comment came from him up to date. All this, Mr. Speaker, encouraged. All this, Mr. Speaker, encouraged others to do. Because
Honorable members, please, this is a comment. If you begin to come by way of point of order, I can tell you. So he will just conclude. You get the opportunity to speak. Or if you will still insist, let me hear you. Honorable member, hold on. Yes, member for Menchia South.
I stand on order 92, 93, 93.5. 93.5. Keep quiet. Mr. Speaker has my time. Mr. Speaker, a member may comment on the statement for a period not exceeding 5 minutes, and the comment shall not provoke debate. Mr. Speaker, what he's doing is clearly provoking a debate, because it is going to compel us. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. He is traveling in a very dangerous waters. We have no choice but to respond to him. So, Mr. Speaker, very respectful, especially where some of the things he's saying cannot be substantiated or proven. Mr. Speaker, very respectfully, this is my humble submission.
Honorable members, please, like he said, I'm not saying retract anything, but let's, because this thing going on, it affects everybody. It's affecting our democracy. So please, let's discuss it dispassionately. I know it has not just happened, it has happened before. But please, let us be candid and discuss it in such a way that it will send a very good message out there for whatever is going on to stop. So let's discuss it with this thing in mind. Please, let's conclude from your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To conclude, as I've earlier said, I'm a victim, and I know how it feels to go through this. That is why I'm very passionate about it. But what I'm trying to conclude with is the political players sometimes are behind, not by ordering them to do what they've been doing, but their posture. An example was what I was giving. The president, who never commented on the Ayawaso West Wagon shooting, the Tichima killings, the Doma, Obuasi, and no, not not Obuasi. Obuasi, the president issued a statement. Obuasi, the president issued a statement. But, Mr. Speaker, all I would like to end with is to thank President Mahama for being bold and directing the IGP to investigate, to investigate all what happened in 2020, so that the perpetrators will be punished. Mr. Speaker, this is the only way that will send a signal to those who want to do same in the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes. Let me come to Honorable Mustafa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement eloquently made by the MP for Bantama, Honorable Asensu Boachi, and also the Honorable Member for Odotobri on the disturbing security situation in our country post-election 2024. Mr. Speaker, thanks to His Excellency the President of the Republic, the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the 2024 election was conducted under conducive atmosphere of peace, leading to the declaration of President John Dramani Mahama as the winner. Prior to the official declaration of President Mahama as the winner, our former Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, graciously conceded defeat and called on his main opponent, President Mahama, and conceded. This remarkable move by the former Vice President explained that it was to avert any tension and also to cement the peaceful electoral process, which has received commendation from international organizations, global leaders, and also civil societies organizations. However, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding all these peaceful overtures and peaceful transfer of power, Ghana continued to be threatened by some violent supporters of the NDC across the country. These hooligans have unleashed unrestrained mayhem on public institutions, innocent Ghanaians, chasing them out of their offices in many instances. For example, Mr. Speaker, in my own constituency, Yagaba Kubal constituency, some miscreants attack the district assembly office, lock up the place, and sack all the staff from the assembly. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, some NDC youth, violence youth, invaded my house. Invaded my house. Mr. Speaker, invaded my house to just because
Honorable members.
Ugly scene.
Honorable, hold on. Honorable members, you know why I try to decline any point of order? So that we can have a very congenial discussion. He's talking about his personal experience that we should allow, so that if somebody also has, we need to curb this issue. So if he has a personal, I don't think it's anything bad that. But please, honorable members, as I'm not taking any interjections, the same way I'll not take any interjection from any side. So honorable, yes.
Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. Just yesterday,
Honorable Andrew,
some violent
Andrew, resume your seat.
invaded my house just because I personally purchased some wooden electricity poles that I'm going to use to support some communities within my constituency. Mr. Speaker, such ugly scenes have been repeated in many institutions, including security installations and also the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Mr. Speaker, the Baba Yara Sports Stadium in Kumasi is where the National Sports Authority staff operates from. And immediately after the election, we saw some violent youth go into the sports stadium, sacking all the staff of the National Sports Authority staff from their office. Mr. Speaker, the staff were all sacked in the full glare of the security of this country. The Ghana police watched this happen without any arrest. Mr. Speaker, this act of violence is a serious threat to the peace of our country, and it is worrying the government, the new government. The NDC has not been able to take any action to restrain their supporters from this act of violence across the country. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo handed over a peaceful country to President John Dramani Mahama. He handed over a peaceful country to President John Dramani Mahama, and he has to take steps to ensure that if he cannot improve on the security situation, he should try and maintain what His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo handed over to him. I want to therefore call on His Excellency the President to prioritize the security situation of our country by taking action over the increase in violence and lawlessness being displayed by his party members. Mr. Speaker, I'm not surprised to see just yesterday in Bole, when the violent youth of NDC attacking in the president's own hometown, attacking and burning ties just because of appointments. Mr. Speaker, just because of appointments.
Thank you.
And also even threatening the president that they will go to his family house to burn it. Mr. Speaker, this cannot continue in this beautiful country called Ghana, and this must stop.
Thank you.
This must stop. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and also to thank my colleagues, especially Bantama Asansu-Boakye, for making this very, very important statement. Thank you so much.
Let him give the opportunity to you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
I'll come
Speaker,
to you. Yeah,
for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, my name is Alfred Nikote Ashi, the Member of Parliament for Ododo-Diodio constituency. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to comment on the statement that has been made here.
Please speak up.
In the House. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, violence, vandalism, vigilantism, and what have you. Yes, we have recorded several of its kind in the history of our fourth Republican democracy. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that Ododo-Diodio as a constituency has had its numerous share of violence activities. For the first time also in our history, it is recorded that Ododo-Diodio went for an election without a single bloodshed. I believe that the challenge we have had as a country regarding vigilantism is the will to take the bull by the horn and crack the whip where it ought to be cracked. I stand here saying proudly that I cautioned my people that whosoever is found culpable in any act of violence, whether from my NDC side or from the MPP side, will be dealt with in accordance with the law. And of course, realizing how ready, able, and willing I was to ensure that we went for the first time on the violence-free elections. I believe what we have suffered as a country is the lack of political will. Yes, of course, Mr. Speaker, traversing certain waters has the capacity or the tendency to erupt arguments, yes, but the truth will always be the truth. If we fail to crack the whip, we give others the belief that they can also do same and go scot-free. If in the past people were dealt with when they went, rampaging, I'm sure others would have taken a cue. So what I want to say is that if we want to stop this act of violence and vandalism, I believe the law should be made to work regardless of which political party is in administration. Finally, I want to assure the House that I trust His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, to crack the whip. There are countless examples where he has made people within his own administration to face the rigors of the law, and he will do it again. But mind us, he is going to start from Ayawaso West Wagon and what have you before we get to where we are. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, let me come to a member for Damango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by thanking my friend and colleague, the Honorable Francis Asensubuachi, Member of Parliament for Bantama, Mr. Speaker, for bringing such an important matter on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, the statement made by the Honorable Member of Parliament and the subject he has so eloquently contributed to and analyzed is absolutely important. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is a democracy. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, within this fourth Republican dispensation, we have had several changes of government through the ballot box. And Mr. Speaker, it is important that our democracy grows. And it's absolutely important that we do not have a situation where it is almost been unanimously agreed upon by the pundits that this probably is turning out to be one of the worst transitions, where we've had so many post-election violence. Mr. Speaker, it's been reported that even civil servants, private citizens in their homes, who had been mistaken by political thugs as MPP ex-ministers, have been attacked in this country. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important matter. Mr. Speaker, if I'm to be blunt, the country is in a state of fear. People are very, very afraid. And indeed, its consequences on investor confidence. Mr. Speaker, imagine a country in which, the sitting president himself is being threatened. Mr. Speaker, we also saw the video where His Excellency President Mahama is being threatened by his own constituents. Some of us are beginning to evaluate how we can come in, how we can restore calm in those parts of the country. How will an investor come into the country? So I want to underscore the point, but the statement made, Mr. Speaker, is one that all and sundry must come on board. In my own constituency of Damango, Mr. Speaker, on the 8th of December, after an election had been conducted peacefully, free and fair, transparent elections, just before collation, political party, hoodlums and thugs attacked the offices of the Electoral Commission, burned the office of the Electoral Commission down, Mr. Speaker, put Damango under siege, and in the process, my own friend, Mr. Mukaila Ziblim of Zongo Longbonto electoral area, was killed. He lost his life, Mr. Speaker. And I don't want to give other examples. Anglo Gold Ashanti, a company in which when I had the privilege of being Minister for Lands and Mines, we worked so hard to convince them and incentivize them to invest more than $1 billion United States dollars in Obuasi to build Anglo Gold Ashanti. Mr. Speaker, we also happening in Obuasi. Today, Ghana has hit the unprecedented output of gold of 6 million ounces. So, Speaker, I still have my contacts within the mining industry. Chief executives are scared. Workers in mining companies are scared. Investors are scared. Today, the mining in Durban is about to begin in South Africa. and the report that is being made of our country in South Africa is that Ghana is not a safe investment destination for mining, because mining concessions are being attacked blatantly. Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point. Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point that all of us must speak against it. The minority must speak against it. Mr. Speaker, the majority must speak against it. Religious leaders must speak against it. Civil society leaders must speak against it. Ordinary citizens must speak against it. Mr. Speaker, when Ghana is safe, secured, and protected, it is safe, secured, and protected for all Ghanaians, not MPP Ghanaians, not NDC Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, under the first government of the Fourth Republic under President Rawlings, we never saw this. Mr. Speaker, the second government of President Kufuor, Ghanaians never saw this. Mr. Speaker, under President Atame's, Ghanaians never saw this. Mr. Speaker, indeed, under President Mohammed's first government, we didn't see this. President Akufo-Addo's government, we did not see this. Mr. Speaker, 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 I want to conclude. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by reiterating my call to all and sundry in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I'm concerned for myself, Samuel Abu Jinapo. I'm concerned for all Ghanaians, and I'm concerned for my brothers and sisters. Indeed, I'm concerned for the new Minister for Energy, John Jinapo, because he can be mistaken for Abu Jinapo and killed one day in this country out of this violence. So all and sundry should come on board for us to keep this country safe. Let us help President Mahama to secure this country. And I conclude, Mr. Speaker, by referring this House to the German theologian, Mr. Speaker, Martin Niemöller, during the Nazi regime, when he uttered a famous quote, which has been most often cited. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I quote. The German theologian Martin Niemöller said, and I quote, "First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out. And when they came for me, there was no one left to speak out." End quote. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your attention.
Yes.
So, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also say thank you to Honorable Bantama and Odotobri, and to add my voice, I'm Honorable Kumaken Tamponov. Mr. Speaker, it is said, justice delayed is justice denied. What are we now talking about today? Mr. Speaker, National Security Coordinator in Ashanti region was chased out of his office. But nobody ever bothered to speak out, and that led to court issues and people went and bailed people. Mr. Speaker, I continue. He who comes with equity must always come with clean hands. The makers of the statement, I thank you for coming up at this time.
Honorable members, please.
Mr. Speaker, I'm never disturbed by their noise. I'm going on. Mr. Speaker, we are not to be frightened by heckling. We must say them as they are. We fixed the slogan under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, that see something, say something. Ayawaso West Wagon, a committee of inquiry was instituted. The findings in abundance. What action was taken? What happened? My brother, you can continue to pretend. It is good. You are now bringing it out. We will all have to say it as it is and now save Ghana from it. Mr. Speaker, I'm an old Tamascan. Honorable
just immediate past finance minister, was my mate in sixth form. Mr. Speaker, when Nanado took over, toilets in Tamale were taken over. You are aware. Even toilets were taken over. Nanado, before Nanado handed over, people started disturbances. And what did His Excellency John Mahama tell him? He told him that they were still in governance. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama told His Excellency Bawumia that he was still in charge. So they should rather tell the people, they should let the Security Act. When did John Mahama take over? When did His Excellency John Dramani Mahama take over? We are all to be blamed. If we accept that we are all to be blamed and go in unison to save this country, let's say so. Let's not begin to defend any regime because we have all erred. And the little ones, look at their fathers. They look at the MPP erred, and so the people are encouraged to continue. The father we now have, the daddy we now have, the Asumdwe Hene's son, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is beginning to fix it. He has authorized the IGP to immediately commence investigation into these things and act. And that is the leader we have gotten. That is the leader we want. That is the leader Ghanaians have confided in. The system will change. Things will become sober. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honorable Ntim Fojo. Unfortunately, I've been given a list to go by.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement that is of utmost concern to all of us. And at the outset, to thank the Honorable Member for Bantama, Honorable Asensu Boakye, and the Honorable Member for Dotobri for bringing this matter to the fore. But firstly, I would like to signal our sympathies to the families of all the lives that were lost in the unfortunate post-election violence that took place in all the constituencies that these rather dastardly acts occurred, and in particular the lives that were lost in the Obuasi incident. Mr. Speaker, a society is a reflection of the advocacy that leaders always champion. And the post-election violence that we are seeing is a reflection or a culmination of the pre-election instigations that political actors clearly in their campaign and through various media channels were instigating their supporters. So they were emboldened right from the time of campaign. And it is so unfortunate that anybody would want to attempt to equalize under which regime or under which transition that how many numbers of incidents of post-election violence took part. We should not be proud as political parties to be recounting the number of incidents of post-election violence, the number of offices that were burnt down, the number of lives that were lost in various regimes, and to recount which one outdid the other. It is most shameful for us to go on that trajectory. Today, an NDC president may be threatened by his own supporters, but must we sit unconcerned because we are MPP members of parliament? No. Today, the NDC office in Ho may have been burnt down by NDC supporters. Must we sit unconcerned because we are MPP members of parliament? No. Regardless of the political affiliation of the lives that are lost, we must come to a point where, as a country, we will resolve that never again must any single life be lost during or post-elections. Mr. Speaker, what we are witnessing particularly this year is a serious affront to our sterling democratic credentials. One Samuel Huntington, a famous American political scientist, the one of his proteges is the famous Farid Zakaria, proceeded that for a country to be deemed as their democratic credentials, to be deemed as consolidating, they must pass the 2 turnover test. We have long passed 2 turnover tests. We have had successful elections that have culminated in successful 5 turnovers. We should be proud that we should be at a point where our democracy should be a beacon for other countries to emulate around the world. This is not a time to be dwindling our gains. If you embolden your supporter to be ready to take over through hunger or through force, through violence, when you win, this is exactly what you will see. And for assets that belong to private enterprises to be assaulted, to result in a clash that will result in loss of lives is most condemnable. Even more condemnable are the media houses, which were emboldened by political actors to be spewing such agitations and incitations that culminated in this. I have heard the president give directive for investigation, but we do not have as a house the details to how this investigation will be done, which committee is probing, and which institution is leading the charge. How transparent is the probe? And the scale to which this post-election violence has taken is even much bigger than the one that occurred in Nyawaso West Wagon that necessitated and occasioned a commission of inquiry. We are expecting a commission of inquiry. But as a house, we have the powers, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker, rightly so respectfully, you have the powers to direct this house to constitute a bipartisan committee to probe into the many incidents of endless post-election violence that has characterized the beginning of the tenure of President Akufo-Addo, President Mohammed's second coming. Mr. Speaker, we must, as a country, condemn these acts. But as we are so mindful at bringing perpetrators to book, even equal repugnance must be meted out at the political actors who incited these ones. And so I dare say that we are looking forward for a direction for a bipartisan committee to be constituted by this House with members from both sides of the aisle to visit Obuasi, to visit Ho, to visit Boli Bamboy, to ensure that key actors in these matters are invited and interrogated with the support of the relevant security agencies. We all, particularly as members of Parliament, key actors of our political enterprise, must ensure that we lead the charge. It is a threat to life and security. It is a threat to our national cohesion. And we cannot sit down for a time when this nation will be taken over by political actors who have won elections and who, through various acts of violences, will be dictating who must go into an office and who must be booted out of office. Mr. Speaker, the ultimate beneficiaries of these atrocities are the people who are going to be the next CEOs and the next ministers and the next so whatnots. Because in most cases, oftentimes, the perpetrators who will be wielding all forms of weapons at various state institutions may not even have the qualification to become the next head of that institution. And therefore, beneficiaries to such acts must also bow down their heads in shame and ensure that we lead the charge, we walk the talk, that as a peaceful country, we will have peaceful elections and post-elections to consolidate our democratic credentials. I thank you very much.
Honorable, let me give it to Andrew. Honorable Professor Ezebayu, please let me give it to Andy, then I'll come to leadership.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. At long last, I have been given the opportunity. Let me appreciate you for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I don't intend to be on my feet for long, but just to let my colleagues on the other side know that Ghanaians are very, very discerning. Ghanaians have their eyes wide open. Ghanaians have their ears on the ground. And Ghanaians know the difference between the MPP and the NDC. And so no matter what they say, Ghanaians know that if we talk about violence, it is the MPP. Mr. Speaker, even the demeanor of the former president, Akufo-Addo, the demeanor, his appearance, his attitude, and that of President John Mahama, the differences are clear. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Yusuf, former minister responsible for sports, said a group of NDC youth went to his house and vandalized his light post or whatever. Mr. Speaker, let me make him aware that those light posts, I'm sure the young guys who went to his house, some of them are MPP guys who believe that those posts.
So make it take
Sit down.
Let Mr. Speaker give. Honorable members, please. We said the gun rules. So that is why I didn't allow any interjection. No, Minister, honorable members. I mean, when you were talking, nobody interjected. Yes, honorable, please conclude for us.
Mr. Speaker, one thing we must know is that President Mama is not here to defend himself. We are here on behalf of President Mama, and if his name is mentioned 100 times, we'll be up 100 times to defend him. Mr. Speaker, one fact we must know is that as Ghanaians, we all need peace to develop. But Mr. Speaker, whether I get or not, I would always defend my president because I know he is a peaceful man. I know that anytime NDC is in government, we see progress. Anytime NDC is in government, we see peace. But let the MPPs know that. Let the MPs know that what happened in Bole and what happened in Ho has nothing to do with post-election violence. Have they soon forgotten? That 8 people died in Techma South? Have they forgotten? Have they still forgotten about the Ayahuasca West Wagon issue? If you are talking about violence, you do not have any right to stand in the chamber and equate the violence of MPP to those of the NDC. Mr. Speaker, like I said, I will not keep long on my feet, but let me conclude by telling the MPP MPs that no matter what they say, no matter the kind of smell that they want to put on President Mama is as clean, President Mama is as pure, President Mama is one of the gentlemen that we can all. It's a fact. Let me conclude by advising my younger brother. Let me conclude by advising my younger brother Abu Jinapo. Honorable Abu Jinapo, one thing we must know is that what happened in Obuasi is not political. Today you want to take advantage of whatever. It's not political. Today you want to take advantage because you have lost elections. You want to take advantage of that and let it sound as if it is the MDC that pushed the youth that way.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But whatever they have planned will not wash. They can disturb, but we will have government business go on.
Thank you. Now leadership.
Thank you. They mentioned Bole Bamboy, and I'm here to.
No. Honorable member for Bole Bamboy, please. Bole, please. I beg of you. Whatever you want, share with your leadership. No. Share with your leadership. Yes, honorable minority leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute
on the statement Post-Election Violence and its Impact on Our Democracy and Socio-Economic Development by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Bantama. Mr. Speaker, post-election violence should not be encouraged by anyone. Post-election violence should be condemned by all. Post-election violence should not be entertained by us. Mr. Speaker, and if you observe, you see the trends of the contribution. Mr. Speaker, you see that our colleagues from the other side is rather encouraging post-election violence. Their comments indicate and suggest that they have no problem with the violence that is going on in our country. About 4 of them on their feet, none of them have condemned the post-election violence. They rather seek to justify, they rather seek to support, they rather seek to encourage that there is nothing wrong with what is going on. Mr. Speaker, if political parties from 92, we've changed hands, both NDC and PP, in 2000, in 2008, in 2016, and in 2024. It should not be the case that wherever there is a change of power from one political party to the other, we should experience election violence. It should not be the case. But our colleagues, from the way and their posture, is suggesting that whatever is going on in the country, they are in full support of it. And it is normal, and it is something they are encouraging their people to do. Mr. Speaker, I want to call on the youth of this country. That as a matter of fact and agency, if they are encouraged by any political player or any political leader to involve or get involved in this act, must stop immediately. They should rather seek to get jobs. They must rather seek to be able to place themselves very well and look for opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the youth of the NDC will not be the only people who are disappointed. In this house so far, President Mahama have made 42 appointments, ministerial appointments. Out of that, only 28 are MPs, 18 from his 16. And you are 183, including the independent, to make 187. So you will not be the only people who will be disappointed, the NDC youth. Your MPs will equally be disappointed. They will equally be disappointed. Over 120 of them will be disappointed. Mr. Speaker, they said they are the NDC majority. The NDC majority, Mr. Speaker, are 183. As we sit here, because of the disappointment, we have only 45 in the chamber. Only 45 in the chamber as we speak. And you are 183. Mr. Speaker, in my own constituency on election day, Mr. Speaker, my constituency on election day, Tolon constituency, by 10 to 11, the youth, NDC youth, have taken the law into their hands and blocked the road in Yankpala, denying voters the opportunity to leave Tamale to come to Tolon to vote. They brought daylight, and they did that with violence. They did that. People who were coming had to turn back. That resulted into someone losing his life. A life lost in this election is a life, or it is something we must all condemn. And because of the acts of our colleagues or our NDC friends, it is actually causing a lot of problem. Mr. Speaker, my warehouse, personal warehouse, I was not a government minister. My warehouse in Tamale was attacked. They stole over 50 motorbikes. I was not a government. That is branded in my name. They took a lot of things away. As of yesterday, some of them were arrested yesterday. Because one funny thing about my motorbikes is that I bought it and branded it in a particular name. It is not in the market for sale. So if you steal it, you will get. As of yesterday, the police arrested 2 people. Not only that, they went to my personal house to attack my house. Why? Because I have won an election. Why? Because NDC is now in power. If we encourage this, should it be the case that any time there is power change, that another political party win, they should attack the other people. It should not be encouraged at all. My brother, Honorable Boale, is here. If he encouraged people to attack my house, should it be the case that when MPP win, I should also encourage people to attack? Mr. Speaker, it must stop. My brother Boale is itching to make me invite him into the debate, and which I am very careful not to do. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in conclusion. I want to join my colleagues to condemn this act. I want to join my colleagues to also say that, Speaker, the statement must not stop here. I urge you for us to form a committee, bipartisan committee of parliament, because the directive of the president is to the effect that they should investigate from 2020 and 2024. And 2020 and 2024 was not the only election where there was violence or people lost their life. And for that matter, Mr. Speaker, I rest my comment here, and then also pray that my colleagues join us to condemn this and call their supporters to order. This will not help anyone. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, is majority leadership yielding to honourable member for no? No. If you are yielding to him, I don't have any problem.
Speaker, they mentioned his name when he was not here.
Honourable member, you know I wouldn't accede to that. I'm saying if you are yielding the leadership position to him, fine, I'll give him the position. But other than that,
Mr. Speaker, let him defend himself. Then I speak as a leader.
No. You are yielding the position to him.
Mr. Speaker, they mentioned his name.
Honourable Comfort.
His name was mentioned when he was not
Honourable Comfort, I have said I am not granting that application. You either talk as a leader or you yield it to him.
Mr. Speaker, let him defend his name so that I speak as a leader.
Honourable leader, please, you don't need to fight over this. I have already ruled. I'm saying no. You either speak as a leader or you yield it to him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to add my voice to the statement made on the floor of Parliament about violence. Mr. Speaker, I just want you to put a mirror here for each and everyone to go and look into the mirror to see who are the perpetrators when it comes to violence. Mr. Speaker, violence started in this country when we were going to do the Etiwa by-elections. That is where we saw serious violence in this country. Etiwa Yechire Bibi Kakra, we have 2 balls. All die be die. That is what sparked the youth at that time, and they realized that, look, let us all involve ourselves in this violence because even our leaders are examples. Mr. Speaker, when MPP won the elections, we were all in Ghana here. Never in the history of Ghana, when His Excellency President Rawlings left power and we handed over to President Kufuor, there was no violence. When Atta Mills came and we handed over to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, there was no violence. There was peace in this country. Journalists can go about, do their work, TV stations, attack government, nobody chains and arrest them. So the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, came to power. And his time was the time that we experienced. Even speaking alone is something that they will come after you. And every man in this country turned to a woman. All leaders Please speak, that they stop speaking. Mr. Speaker, they started it, and today is hunting them. Which people went first to attack people in their house? Go and ask John Jinapor. When we lost the election, he was attacked in his house. Go and ask Dr. Yine, he was attacked in his house. Go and ask the former ministers, they were attacked in their house. So it was leadership by example. What you taught them is what they are doing now. So if today there is a new government who is against violence, now I can tell you boldly that now journalists can criticize free of charge and they will not be held responsible. Journalists can talk now and nobody will change them because we have a peaceful president. We have somebody who is always preaching peace and giving freedom to people to speak their mind. Mr. Speaker, today, MPP is complaining. They are complaining. They have forgotten. Even they went to the court to even pull a judge from her seat. They even went to court. We saw the videos, chasing people left and right. Ayawasu West Wagon, have they forgotten? We are all guilty when it comes to violence. As politicians, we are all guilty when it comes to violence. So let's change our character now. Mr. Speaker, all of us are guilty.
Member, conclude. No.
All of us are guilty. So we should all change the way we will do our things. Leadership by example. His Excellency John Dramani has come and they will see how peaceful Ghana will be. They will see how peaceful elders in our community can come out and criticize government without attack. They will see how peaceful youth will be on the street and they won't be attacked. So they should learn from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and make sure we have a peaceful Ghana.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, my colleague will conclude for me.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful
honorable
for
members.
the opportunity to conclude.
Honorable members, no. Honorable members. Honorable members, please indulge me to suspend the House we are coming back at 5 o'clock. The House stands suspended.